is simple. We risk losing the consent of the British people. That's why we have to do things differently.
With climate change, the idea that you can stop the power of the sun or volcanoes is simply ludicrous.
That's what climate change is about. It is literally, not figuratively, a clear and present danger.
If unprecedented changes are not made and made soon, there will be irreversible damage to the planet.
Zero carbon.
East off. Hello and welcome to Zero Carbon East, Series 5, Just a Stop of the Tories. I'm Ian Collins and this is the UK's number one go-to podcast when it comes to environmental matters. If it is green, it is in. Our man at the helm, the steering wheel, whatever you want to call it, is of course the green entrepreneur Dale Vince. Dale, by the way, we're going to end up in a very tricky editorial thing in about the next 2 weeks, because this series is called Just Stop the Tories, which has been a sort of an ongoing, lifelong ambition of yours, and leading up to, as we record this, the general election on July the 4th, which is tomorrow in our time. And then, of course, we've still got a couple of weeks before the summer break. So will it still be called Just Stop the Tories, just for the fun of it?
Is this like a real on-air question or just a behind-the-scenes chit-chat?
No, I was just thinking about the fact that, you have powered your way around the nation talking about this subject, the podcast, which does incredibly well, sort of globally as well as, naturally in this country. And of course, if we believe the polls, the title has done its job.
Happy days, right? What are we going to do? We can't complain. And if we've got a couple of more episodes to put out under this historic season-long title, Just Stop the Tories, I say, who cares, right?
We'll just add that word in as well.
Add that word in.
Well, we'll come back to predictions and all the rest of it in a moment. I think we should focus a little bit on Glastonbury last weekend. You were in Glastonbury. You did the full shebang, didn't you? You didn't just turn up for an hour. You were there from like Wednesday to forever. You're probably still there now, Dale.
Part of me is. I just got back yesterday, actually, and I'm catching up on sleep because I pulled a couple of all-nighters. We had a blast, right? The first thing we did I think it was on Thursday, was we had a big cube down in Silver Haze, like kind of part of our vote campaign, Just Vote. And we had a bunch of our team there in superhero costumes, capes and that kind of stuff. And we were saying to people, voting is a superpower, right? But you've got to vote and all that kind of stuff. And we got so much media attention. We made the front page of the Indie. We made the Observer. We got like 160 pieces of coverage that day, TV, radio, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It was properly bonkers.
Were you wearing silver pants?
No, but I had a yellow cape and pink shorts, actually. Yellow cape and pink shorts. The pictures are out there in the world somewhere. But we had some lovely conversations with people as well, and some nutty ones. You do phone-ins, so you'll know how that goes.
So I was just taking a swig of coffee as you said that.
What was that?
And you moved on to the nutty ones, which threw up all sorts of images in my head. Just tell us a little bit about some of the, you were doing, that was the campaign stuff. You were doing some speeches. You were up late at night doing some of the stages, but with great audiences and crowds.
The other thing I was doing there was I took this massive battery, the biggest one that's ever been at a festival, 1 megawatt, 3 megawatt hours of capacity, ginormous thing, and it ran the Arcadia field entirely for the whole event, which is like some kind of world first. And they had a brilliant show with the Dragonfly, new show from them and stuff like that. That was just a really great thing. The Diesel Mafia at the event didn't want us to do it and don't want us to talk about it, but here you go. That's that. And then I did speak at a couple of stages. I spoke at Green Futures a couple of times. We had a chat about it was a bit funny, really, but we were interrupted by a guy, a climate denier, who got the mic, but not violently. Like the guy that was presenting the show said, "Oh, we need to hear from this bloke. We can't deny him a stage and that kind of stuff." And he comes out and he's like, "I've been listening to this one scientist, and he says it's all about water vapor and it's not about carbon and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "What about the 2,000 scientists on the IPCC? Why aren't you listening to them?" It was just all a bit silly, really, but they still exist in the world, and I can't believe it. And I said, this is why we should ban climate denial. We spent 10 of our 60 minutes that we had arguing that the climate crisis was real. For f***'s sake, why are we talking about whether it's real or not? Like on your show today.
Yeah, who was this? Indeed, we had a couple of callers when you came on the radio program about exactly that. But what was this? What's really intrigued me about this story, what was this character doing at Glastonbury? Was he kind of at the wrong festival?
That's a good point. Maybe he got lost.
I mean, I think he was probably on his way to the UKIP conference and saw a load of people and thought, well, it seems quite busy for a UKIP conference. I'll go in and see. And then found himself in the middle of Glastonbury, where, I'm not suggesting that Glastonbury isn't full of diverse thought and people with different opinions, but I would suggest, I think on balance, that's probably a slightly unusual view to the crowd. Did he get booed by the crowd?
No, he didn't get booed. They're all very tolerant and very kind of greeny with him, like bless, kind of like we should listen to him. I'm like, why are we listening to him? Anyway, one of the big issues for me there was chatting about why I was backing Labour over the Greens and that kind of stuff. I expected a bit more flack than I got. In fact, I didn't get any. Just had a serious chance to talk about it and explain why. Labour can form a government. They will form a Green government if they get that chance. And if you want a Green government, it's the most logical thing to do. Vote Labour, don't vote Green.
But didn't you say the Greens don't deserve a single MP?
Yeah. Was that the London Evening Standard headline, I think?
Yeah. I mean, you can't be disagreeing with those guys because they get it right every time over there at the ES.
Sit down, hold on to your chair. This may come as a shock. They made it up.
Get out of here.
They made it up. I didn't say that at all.
Isn't that interesting? Sometimes people get misinterpreted and you go, okay, it's not desirable, but I can kind of see how that happened. But every now and again, somebody just literally makes shit up.
Yes, they do. And often it's in the media.
It just wasn't said or anything like it.
And then I got a call to go and speak at the peace stage in the kind of Ravers field, really. 1:30 a.m.
The peace stage at the Ravers field.
Yes.
I mean, that in itself, there's a bit of a clash of thoughts in my head here.
Odd combo. And I was thinking, oh, blimey, 1:30 in the morning, an audience that want music on a music stage. They really want to hear me talk about energy independence.
Yeah.
But guess what? They did. They gave me a fantastic reception. And then a little group started chanting, the Tories, which is so funny because, I was explaining what the Tories are doing wrong and what the opportunities of energy independence is.
Yeah.
It was just a brilliant experience. Kind of loved it.
I heard you were awarded the Golden Glow Stick for your troubles.
The Golden Glow Stick. Yeah, it was just brilliant. I had a lovely time.
What about, I've got to ask you, did you watch Coldplay?
No. I didn't see anything.
Did you watch Avril Lavigne?
I didn't see anything.
So you didn't really get a chance to see the musical side of it, because Glastonbury is about so much more than that, isn't it? You can't have failed to hear it, though.
No, I heard all kinds of stuff, but I did see a band called Bob Vylan. Vylan spelt with a Y, not an I-double-L. And they were brilliant. Punk rock. I think they call themselves punk. They were just brilliant, like a little bit like Bob Dylan, kind of political. The music was nothing like Bob Dylan. They were on after me, so I hung around and watched them. I'd say they're brilliant.
Well, I did see a bit of Coldplay, and the only reason I saw a little bit of it is because I knew Chris Martin was going to be bringing up different guests at different times from different fields of life. And I was sort of half expecting you to pitch up, because I thought, well, I don't know what you were going to do if you did, whether you'd be asked to sing or play something. But I reckon Coldplay have probably got a whole raft of sympathies and agreement with quite a lot of what you stand for, though.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, we kind of know them from a while ago. We powered some of their homes and that kind of stuff. But there it is. Well, the big news today, right? The Sun have come out and backed Labour.
Yes. Now, they've done this once, but they did it in 97 and then backed them then. I think that relationship probably cooled off into the Gordon Brown years and then sort of tacitly backed Cameron. They've essentially said that the Tories are out of ideas, they're knackered, they're tired, and Keir Starmer has earned the right to govern, I think was their phrase.
Yeah, but look, here they are the day before the election and they jump on the bandwagon, right? I mean, they just want to be on the winning side. I bet you on Friday the headline will be, it's the Sun what done it, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'd write if I was editing the Sun. I'd have exactly that.
Where have they been during the whole campaign? Why only now are they saying that Keir Starmer deserves the chance to govern and the Tories have run out of ideas? We've all seen that for months.
Yeah. Although in fairness, I don't think they've been saying very many positive things about the Tories either for the last couple of months.
Who could? I mean, who could? Even the Tories can't.
Yeah, well, indeed. I mean, even Rishi Sunak was heard over saying the other day, "I'm a heap of shit." So, even he's onto it as well. This landslide thing. I mean, it's interesting. I know polls schmoles, but there is one poll out there today that suggests that Labour will have 483 MPs and the Tories will have 64, Lib Dems 61. So 64 is not enough to form an opposition.
That's a poll published in the Mirror, so you've got to say, take that with a little bit of salt. It's
Possibly,
on the left
yeah,
side of
sure.
life. But, there's all kinds of polls saying all kinds of things. As I was saying to you earlier on your radio show, the thing we don't know is the impact of voter ID legislation, voter suppression legislation in effect on the vote, because the first by-election under those new rules suppressed 3,000 people. They were unable to vote. Nationally, that could be as many as 1.5 million people if it rolls out pro rata like that. And that's 1.5 million people that don't tend to vote Tory. It could make quite a massive difference in any of those closely fought seats. So we don't know that for sure. The Tories and the Tory media have been talking up big majorities, which have a twofold intention. One is to make Labour voters think, no need to bother, Gov, right? It's in the bag.
Yep.
And second is for stay-at-home, grumpy, sulky Tory voters to say, for fuck's sake, we better go vote for them or we'll get a stonking majority for Starmer. It's just cynical manipulation. We don't know what impact that might have on people. I'm hoping it won't, and people just say, we've got to get rid of these twats, and this is a great chance to do it.
Before we get to some questions, a bit of housekeeping here. The Guido Fawkes libel claim, what's happening there?
Yeah, this one's brilliant. The Guardian covered it. We finally got permission from a court to sue this fella Staines, who's the editor, by email, despite the fact that he lives in Ireland, so out of jurisdiction and by an unusual means, because he was being really difficult about receiving papers. He's just trying to avoid it. And he's the man that's famously said that because his blog is hosted in the US and he's hosted in Ireland, he says, I don't need to pay attention to what a British judge orders me to do. Well, guess what, Guido? Maybe you do, because we're coming for you.
And for those that haven't been following this story, Dale, just remind everybody why it's come to this and how the love affair ended with you and Guido.
Well, yeah. So Guido Fawkes, the website, and Staines, the editor, they were the originators of the Hamasgate scandal. He edited a video of me and then claimed I'd said that Hamas were freedom fighters. That was picked up by the Daily Mail, GB News, shed loads of Tory MPs and all kinds of people. They all added their own kind of pile-on claims to the twistedness of it. And so far, the Daily Mail and GB News have apologized, have paid costs, and they've paid compensation, which we're giving to Palestinian charities. Mickey Fabricant, I think, can we say he's famous? I don't know. If he's the most famous of 3 Tory MPs that have done the same. And there's one Tory lord in the dock at the moment. Last piece of the puzzle is the originator Staines. So, but we're not letting away with it, right? This is what I think. I think offshore tax havens are bad enough, but an offshore libel haven, we can't let that be a thing.
We should give a mention to the fundraiser that's been launched, the UK's first vegan ice cream van. What's going on here, Dale?
Yeah, it got burnt down, apparently. I don't think it was like angry farmers and arson and that kind of stuff. I'm assuming it was an accident. But he says he'll get insurance, but not in time for the crucial summer trade window. And he's got a fundraiser going on to get his wheels back on the road. And funnily enough, I think we've got him booked for the Massive Attack gig at the end of the summer on the Downs in Bristol, which is another place where our big battery is going to go. And this battery is going to run the whole show, not just the stage, but the whole show. And that'll be another world first.
Even Chris's ice cream van may be powered by the same beast.
Yeah. I think he's got his own power source, probably, because he's an ice cream van, right? But yeah, if he needs to plug in, he can. We'll have plenty of juice.
Let's do a couple of questions to finish on. Tara says, you wake up to a new dawn on Friday. Are you doing anything special to celebrate, Dale?
On Friday, I'm expecting to be a bit tired, but very happy. Anything special? Nah. I think I'll be doing some media and stuff like that Friday, Saturday. I'm going to watch footy Friday and Saturday as well, because you can't not, can you? England on Saturday, of course, blagged their way into the quarterfinals. I watched that from Glastonbury. Glastonbury had everything. Yeah, it had everything.
Did you see Coldplay? Oh, no, we've done that.
We've done that one. I didn't see Coldplay, but I did see England.
Rich says, just how vocal will you be if you don't get the Green Labour Party you're expecting? It's a fair question.
Look, I'm me. I'll be me, whatever happens. I got views about stuff. I speak out. I've been doing that for a while. I don't expect that this will be an issue. I think Labour do get it. And I think this is one of them hypotheticals. And I think it ain't going to happen.
And final one from Catherine and John. Do you think doubling onshore wind over the course of the next government, which is part of the Labour manifesto, page 51, is actually ambitious enough?
Well, I think if they take the shackles off planning and they sort grid out, I think the industry itself will do more. I think that the offshore target itself would be much harder to hit than the onshore one because we've only got 5 years to do it in. And there's a big role for solar rooftops as well, which could be a big chunk of what we need to build in the next 5 years. So let's see what comes.
There it is. That is it for this episode. And unusually, this is almost like a part one to a two-parter this time, Del, because we're going to release one again when all the votes are counted and everything is in, which, of course, will illustrate the result of the election, where we can sense then where you're at. We can decide then whether you're jubilant.
And I've got to say, right, I'm no fan of Christmas. Regular listeners to the show will know that. But I feel right now like a kid, and this is Christmas Eve, and everything you might hope for, everything becomes possible. It's very exciting.
That left-wing sack is about to be emptied all over your head, Dale. That's not a bad thing, right?
The left sack, but not the right sack. I'm not liking this metaphor in.
Yeah, I mean, it started off genuinely accidental, but it seems to have veered into a very dubious, slightly 1970s
I mean,
area.
bless Santa. Bless Santa. He only gets to empty his sacks once a year. Come on.
And Frank Carson will be appearing on the South Pier in Blackpool this summer. Listen, Dale, we're speaking in a couple of days.
I can't wait.
Follow this podcast so you get each episode automatically. And, of course, follow Dale on social media, twitter.com/DaleVince, facebook.com/DaleVince, and on TikTok too.
Fabulous. I love it. I mean, you got to love it, right?
Zero carbon.
East of.